Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Altered Carbon Season 1, Episode 10. It is called The Killers, and it is, of course, the season finale of this first season. So full spoilers for the episode and the season as a whole now, as per usual. And we'll get into this. And obviously we'll talk about the episode, but we'll talk about the season as a whole as well, as we typically do when we get to the finales. You kind of have to look at it as a whole. How did it function? Because often the finale, if I've been feeling one way or the other, the finale can either swerve it and completely change our opinion on it, or it can completely just encapsulate everything we've been feeling up until that point.
Yeah. There's been times where we've been enjoying it, and then you get to the end and you're like, a lot of that never really went anywhere.
Yeah. So to its credit, I don't feel that with this. If anything, I feel like, no, this finale just solidified the mediocrity of the season.
It was par for the course,
yes,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it's funny because in a way it annoys me more because it just kind of like it was just what it was the whole time and there was nothing else going on, there was nothing more interesting, but at the same time I can't fault it and say that it didn't do anything wrong, like more than it has done up until this point.
No, it's just an evolution of what was already happening.
So yeah, unfortunately, I have to say I'm disappointed in the season. It's like I can't help not.
Very, yeah.
I can't help but not want to love a cyberpunk show that's this big budget. I wanted more than this. I wanted a story that I invested in. I wanted characters that I really cared about, and well, there's some characters that I do kind of care about. They're
not to the extent that you wanted to.
No. And I do have one or two kind of weird questions about this one. Oh. Mainly, my biggest problem with the finale. So, first half of the episode, they're in the head in the clouds, and they're in the standoff. Ortega wakes up, and everything's going on, and things are going on, fighting's happening, and then eventually we get to a point where Ray and Kovacs are trapped in the room. The entire floating building is going to come down into the water, right? They're just going to go down, and they're basically going to be there and staying there. So we get this 10-minute, beautiful music's playing. We have a narration from Falconer telling this story about a prince looking for his princess or something to that effect. It's all this beautiful emotion, and it's all about this is sacrifice. Ortega's crying. She thinks she's losing Kovacs. The thing's coming into the water, and then it immediately goes to another scene. And now, admittedly, I remember there was a duplicate, right?
Yes.
I remember there was a duplicate, which is obviously the way I thought they were going to get out of this. But then both of them were alive anyway. Kovacs, his stack survived.
Yeah, so it's like, well, it didn't really matter then, did it?
I'm like, we just spent 10 minutes, dramatising this as if it was the bigger heroes going down in the finale. And it was meaningless.
And here's the thing, I could have respected the choice of the other way. It's like, yeah, it's the duplicate, but the duplicate doesn't have the memories of what, this other one's gone through in the last day. Which
is funny, because when... So basically, he's in VR after this. He's like, "Hey, so you've exposed all these crimes, so we're going to forgive, but we can't have two of you running around. You have to kind of decide which one of you is going to survive."
Seems fair.
And they meet up. The two Kovacs meet up, and they're going to decide. And I thought there was potential here because they're sort of talking about like what he just went through and the choice he just made and what he knows because he finds out Falconer's out there somewhere. Like Ray actually saved her backup.
So she claims.
So she claims, but she did because that's obviously something that's going to happen in season 2, right?
Well, I mean, he'll believe it and spend the season searching, at least. I don't know if she'll actually be there or not.
I feel like we've put too much time into Falconer, and she's easily more interested in a lot of the other characters, that it would almost be a crying shame if there wasn't a way to just like have her properly, eventually.
No, that's true.
I mean, I agree there's ways you could make some poignant moments out of it that not being real, but, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea that ultimately they decide that the one who went through that event should be surviving because that event was such a big deal that it'll inform him as a character going forward, that he should survive because he's the one who made these heroic choices and he can live with those consequences and he can evolve as a person because of that. And the other one didn't go through that. He was just on a beach having sex somewhere. Right? Unfortunately, they raise those questions and then just say, rock, paper, scissors, and then it just, like... It ends up being the one, or at least the claims, it's the one who... We'll never really know, I don't think. There's no way to ever actually confirm if it is the one who lived through it, if he's lying.
There's not. I mean, I've got no reason to doubt it. Just the things he says to Ortega implies that it is, though.
I don't know, I was just thinking, like, would he just say that to her to make her feel better? That it was her one that survived?
No, that is fair, but unless the other one told him, oh, okay, these are the things that happened. These are, like here's the cliff notes.
Oh, sure. I bet he could have. I mean, there's
He
no.
could have, yeah.
Yeah. Like I say, I don't necessarily think he did, but I'm just like, realistically, there's no way we'll ever know which one was the one that
Until
actually.
they decide to use it as a twist.
Exactly, yeah. Until they decide to actually use it as a plot point, we'll never actually find
Yeah.
out. So, and I thought there was like potential there to really explore that and make that choice based on no, he needs to be the one that survives because he had the growth and he made the choices, so he has to go on. But they didn't really do anything with it. They just rock paper scissors again.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
That's all. That's all they did. Uh, so Lizzie does wake up. Lizzie goes into a synth body that can kind of like transform to any appearance.
Yeah, I will say because there was a minute where I was like, all that time with her, and then we're just doing a different actress. That seems weird.
Here's the thing: a song kicked in during this scene by the Kills called "Future Starts Slow," which is a really good song, and it fits really well in a moment like this where it's like, badass is coming. It's got that kind of vibe to it. Unfortunately for this show, I've already seen it used better in a different TV show, a better TV show, in a better moment.
Oh, which show?
Person of Interest.
Right.
In fact, I know this song because of that show. So as soon as the drum beat kicked in, I was like, oh, that's that song. I'm like, they're using it as well. It was effective, but like I've heard it actually used better in the show. I don't know if they knew it was used in that show and they liked the effect of it, and that's why they've chosen it.
Probably not.
Or if it just happens to be a song.
I mean, they might have watched that show and it's in their minds subconsciously, but I doubt that was the active reasoning for it.
Yeah, no, probably. But hey, so it was kind of like I was too busy thinking of Person of Interest while this scene was playing out.
I will say around that point of those scenes there, you were complaining last episode that there wasn't enough cock.
Oh, that's true. There was very much. I will stand by my complaint that it still just kind of feels like, oh, we're mature because we have nudity. I still stand by that point, but you're right. There was male nudity in this one, so fair play.
Trying to even it out a bit. I just thought, oh, it's funny how you just mentioned that last episode, and then here it is.
They were saving cock for the finale.
Yeah, exactly. They wanted it to be a big deal.
What a big finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some guy he's rented out the entire floor to kill various sleeves and prostitutes and whatever, I don't know. And Lizzie skewers him. So
pretty cool.
That's what it does. Yeah, she has presence. I like Lizzie. It's almost a shame we didn't actually get more of her. In fact, it's more of a shame we didn't get a lot of the characters because I feel like I could care about them all more. They just didn't actually give us enough of them and developed enough of them.
Yeah, like Poe.
Poe's. I kind of see when because there's a scene in the middle where Ghostwalker comes into the thing and they've got tech to basically delete him, and he starts like fading away. And he sends Lizzie off in VR at the same time as he's dying, but he's dying, and he's like, basically just disintegrating digitally in front of them. And I was like not that worried. I was like, it's too early in the episode. He's going to have like a big comeback at the end of the episode. He's like he backed himself up or something. He's going to save the day at the end. I did not for a second suspect this was really his end. And then they just never get brought up again.
He seems to be dead.
He seems to be dead, and I don't even think Kovacs like finds out. Really, because that'd be the thing that it's confirmed that he was dead for me. Is if we get a scene where he finds out and he looks a bit upset about it.
Yeah, no one tells him.
No one tells him. No one seems to care that it happened. It's just kind of forgotten.
Nah, they were just like, it was an AI anyway. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, which is a shame.
That's my only assumption is how because they don't react.
Yeah, no, they don't. No, I mean Ava's kind of in stress. Oh, and poor Mickey. Mickey gets killed.
Yeah.
He didn't have a whole lot to do in the end either.
No.
No, a lot of the characters didn't. And yeah, I mean, there's some okay fighting. That said, though, the actual big final fight between Kovacs and Ray, it kind of just evolved into like the swords back and forth, like very sort of standard fighting for me. I wasn't really feeling it all that much.
No, fair enough. I liked it well enough, but I like sword fights more than you do. So.
Yeah, basic sword fights don't really do anything for me. It did feel kind of just basic back and forth. Like, I get, they're evenly matched, so it's all this skill, but I think it has to be filmed in a unique way to really get me going or whatever. The filmmaking has to kind of give me the energy of it, whereas when it's just like, some wide shots of them going back and forth, I'm just not feeling it that much.
No, fair enough. I don't mind that.
But hey. So yeah, so then they unwrap everything, and we actually forgot Bancroft even existed, but then we actually get the scene where they all come to his mansion and arrest him, and then his wife, because she was the one who actually poisoned him for Ray,
Yeah.
exposing them all. Although, the really dark part is that we find out Lizzie was pregnant, and Miriam kicked the baby out of her, basically.
Yeah.
That was
yeah,
a really
that
dark
was
little flashback when it just cut to her, like, just kicking her in the stomach repeatedly.
It was, although it felt a little gratuitous to show it, like just the impact of her talking about it, and just because she's narrating over this and telling the story of what's happened. I don't know if I needed to see it.
I think this goes back to the nudity. It goes back to, oh, we're mature, we can show these things.
Yeah, it could be.
It kind of goes back to that immaturity of them thinking that showing it is mature.
Yeah, it just felt
so,
like, okay, we're cutting away just because we can. Like I don't know if it actually added anything to the moment as much as just seeing the look on her face as she was saying it probably would have been more effective.
yeah. It's funny because it got a reaction out of me, but it was more like, oh, okay, this is extreme. Like seeing
It's just the
this.
shock value.
Yeah, the shock value, but yeah, you're right. There's not really that much. It might have actually played better had it just been like, just let the actor do her work. Let her emote it and
Exactly.
let it play out that way.
We barely see her face during this speech because we spend a lot of it looking at Miriam's reaction. And then we see, the flashback. We don't actually see, Lizzie doing much of the acting during this speech.
No. And then it kind of ends with like, okay, he's going to go out and search for Falconer, or Stack, her data, wherever it is. He's going to go and search. Although it does imply that he's turning in the sleeve first and getting another sleeve, because Ortega says you're turning in Riker's sleeve.
Yeah, I was really disappointed we didn't see the new sleeve at the end.
I think that's because they're not cast whoever it's going to be in season 2 yet.
Which is a shame because I wanted it just to be his old body.
I would hope that as well. But I feel like they're going to cast someone else. It's going to be like every season instead of another big actor. Well, big. I mean,
Probably.
I don't know how big Kinnaman is, but
It is a name, though, isn't it? That
Yeah.
people recognise more so than anyone else in the show.
but someone, yeah. Hey, there was an actor in this show from the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Don't you tell me that he's the most recognisable one.
I'm telling you, he's the most recognisable one.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm looking at the cast list. There's more.
Honestly,
There's a few more that I'd recognise first, but yeah, I can't.
yeah, there's others that me and you might recognise more because of what we watch, but as the general public, just as the whole, as when they're selling this.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Suicide Squad.
Right, exactly. Hey, say what you want about how that movie was not very good. A lot of people still watched it.
Oh, they did. They absolutely did.
So,
Yeah, so it just kind of ends with like it goes back to the story that Falconer was like saying in the narration, whilst the building was crashing into the water. Which, to be fair, the visual effects as that building was crashing into the water,
fantastic.
It looked gorgeous, right?
Yeah, but we have we complained about the visual effects even once?
I don't think so, but I just want to mention that one because that was bigger than everything else. This was the big set piece, like visual effect moment of the finale.
I still didn't get my car chase though.
You did not. No car chasing.
I'm a little disappointed about that. I did want my car chase.
But she returns to the narration, and it ends with Kovacs walking through the entrance, walking out of the entrance of the hotel. I did like how that was lit, actually, because one window was like sort of reddy and one was bluey. It was playing with the whole contrast of the colours. But he walks out the swivel door, and basically the narration's like, he will go out there, the prince will go out and find her, no matter how long it takes. Cut to credits. And I wish I cared more. I really do.
Do you know what? That's supposed to be like, oh, season 2, you know what you're doing now. I'm like, I don't really care. I don't even know if I want to watch season 2 right now.
I'm not. It's not left me excited for season 2. It's the sort of thing where if it comes when things are quiet, I'm sure we'll happily check out episode 1 of season 2 and see how it is and see, what's going on. If it comes at a time when it's really busy, it's like, well, the chances of us wanting to check it out are going to be a lot more limited.
That's it. It's really going to depend when it is.
This is the thing. We did this whole show, this whole season, largely because it's been a quiet time for us TV wise. Had we had like a few more shows on right now, we might not have finished this season.
No, we might not.
So, that's something to keep in mind. And the fact is a bit at the end, as she's like doing the narration, and like it's showing you like all the flashbacks of them sitting at the water, and like her smiling, and the music's kind of building up, and I'm like, oh, this music's kind of okay. I'm kind of liking the build up of the music, but I just wish I cared. I wish I cared about what the emotion that was.
This is the thing.
conveying.
We're saying, oh, we might not have finished it. It's not even that bad. It's just there's better things I could be watching. Usually, right now it turns out there's not.
Right now there's not. But yeah, it's just mediocre.
Yeah.
It's a shame because we were hoping it was going to be like another home run for Netflix, and it's not. It's very much the flashy one, but with no.
Yeah, this is by far the weakest thing from Netflix we've covered in a while.
Yeah, no substance.
Or at least anything we've covered consistently.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the other shows that we've finished, it would probably just be some of the Marvel ones that are weaker than this, like Iron Fist, obviously.
Oh yeah, Iron Fist is definitely worse than this. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, Iron Fist is worse. Because at least this occasionally had some cool action scenes or whatever, or cool ideas. Iron Fist
always
was just...
It never looked cheap.
It never looked cheap, whereas Iron Fist felt cheap a lot of the time, on top of everything else.
But, I mean, this episode wasn't all bad. Things I like the Ortega fight, where she finally gets her own back with the starfish stabber thing.
And she had to, because that guy killed her entire family, and he was making her revisit it in VR over and over again.
Yeah, at first I didn't claim it was VR immediately. I was like, oh, so they weren't quite dead. I was like,
really?
What's going on? Yeah, just for a second, because obviously it's been a couple of days since I watched the last episode.
But no, and then he's like, oh, you've not went through this enough, so she keeps going through it. And then, she gets out. And I like the idea that she really only can hold her own in the fight because she has the bionic arm. Because she eventually beats him by just grabbing his ankle and just snapping it with a bionic arm.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So that's some fun stuff. And, it's the thing, like, the police captain, he, has a little, turn where he's like, no, what, I'm not doing this bullshit anymore. I'm going to stand up for what's right. Yeah. And I'm like, I wish I'd cared more about him, because I feel like that'd be a nice little turn.
Instead, it just kind of felt like a sudden shift for no reason. It didn't feel like he'd earned the decision to change.
Because, there was the one moment at the hotel when he sees the massacre, Mickey's there dead, and the lawyer comes in, who we never see again really after this, I don't think. Comes in and just says, like, hey, I know where Ortega is, and he looks all guilty, like, oh, I want to know, I want to help.
She's there at the end when they're confronting the Bancrofts, isn't she?
Well, she might be, but she doesn't really get a big part of it. She's just kind of...
No, I feel like she maybe says a couple of things here or there, but nothing major.
There's maybe there's a few too many characters, I think, overall. I didn't know what to do with them all.
Yeah, it was. Just...
And it could have spent time developing everyone else. If they jettisoned a few, spent time developing the others. But ultimately, I think, honestly, all the complaints come down to it needed better writers.
Yeah. It coasted on its visual appeal, I feel.
Yeah. It was very shallow, very surface level, and ultimately was just all flash, no substance.
Yeah, and something just, because we were talking a lot in the first episode how, okay, so it's an Asian man in a white body. Yeah. And I defended it at the time, saying, there's all sorts of things they could do and explore, but it really got brought up again.
No, I mean, I don't necessarily think it went down it didn't do anything offensive.
It didn't do anything problematic, but it didn't do anything. Explored it.
Yeah, it never explored it, never did anything with it either. It kind of just was.
Yeah. It's fine, but it's like you could have done something really interesting with it.
Yeah, they never really did. And I guess the point is that to the characters it doesn't matter because they're all jumping through different sleeves all the time anyway, but it's but as an audience, we're not there with you.
I think it's because we see it's such a big difference with Ava being in a man's body, and we had the same with Ortega's grandmother.
Yeah.
Where and they kind of referenced how this is weird, and they were like, you're constantly going, any sleeve will do. That's the opinion for some people that it doesn't matter, and other people think it does matter. Again,
ideas that weren't really explored.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I get. Kovacs, he adapts really well. That was part of his envoy training, so he doesn't have this big deal with the sleeves because to him it's just he is on that side of the argument, but the argument never really happens. It's just kind of mentioned. Yeah. We've been saying all season it has lots of good ideas. There's lots of things that it could be exploring. There's probably too many ideas. It could never explore all of them, but there's so many that it could be exploring. I thought they were going to do way more with Poe and his digital poker game buddies, and the fact that he goes and hangs out with other AIs. Yeah, no, that was just to set him up as the full guy.
Yeah, like literally, that's all it was. I thought they were going to do more of that. I thought there'd be more to the journey of Lizzie getting better, and there wasn't. We see her a few times in VR training with knives, and that's about it.
Yeah, yeah.
I never really feel like I got to know her before she woke up, even though I liked the scene when she woke up, and I like the badass element to it,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it's a shame. It's a shame. It's a weak season. It's a weak show. If it does get renewed, and it very well may, because I feel like a lot of people have been talking about it, even if it's not been that great.
The only way it won't is if it's even more expensive than we think it is.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they tend to renew things within about a month or two after they air, if
They
not
do,
sooner.
yeah.
So it shouldn't be too long before we find out. But yeah, I guess the most damning thing I can say is that I really don't care if it gets renewed.
No, me either. Honestly, I found myself bored a lot of the time, and it's not, that's the thing. It's not even a like, oh, this is really bad. I'm going, oh, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? I'm bored. Do something interesting. All these ideas, and I'm bored. I don't even know how that's possible.
And it's all the sort of ideas that we usually love to chew on. We love when other shows, when Black Mirror plays with these ideas, when science fiction movies play with these ideas. Something like I don't know what they were doing last year that was sci-fi-esque. I mean, like, or even just like Mr. Robot even hints that there might be like a science fiction idea, and we start talking about it and theorizing and talking about how it relates to the themes and how it does all these things. And Altered Carbon just doesn't have any of that. It just doesn't have any sort of depth to it at all.
Do I think maybe a good comparison in things Westworld?
Westworld, yeah, that's a good.
We spent a lot of time on very similar ideas in some cases.
Yeah. Obviously mixed and meshed in different ways, but there's some similar ideas in there.
Ideas were similar in terms of what is humanity.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of science fiction, really.
It is, but I'm just in terms of TV that we covered recently in science fiction. Well, recently-ish, but it's just like this. It poses the questions but never tries to answer them.
Do you know what it is? It feels like it doesn't even like shout the questions proudly. It whispers them and just kind of hides afterwards.
It's kind of like, hey, these are the questions we're looking at, but just as long as you know it.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Flashy visual effects, which are great, but I want meat in the bone.
Yeah. So here's something I learned yesterday. So Ray, in the books, she was not his long lost sister.
Oh, really?
She was just a mob boss. They added that in for the show.
That's funny because that was more of the interesting part until we found out she was just a mob boss.
It is, but then it's like, okay, that's strange.
Yeah, so someone in the comments actually was telling us that in the book the VR torture gets a lot worse. Like they go really extreme with it. Like they turn, like when Kovacs was being tortured back in like episode 4, in the book they turn him into a woman in VR so they can do other things to him. They get more specific than that, but you can let your imagination run wild. And I'm like, okay, that would have been just pure shock value. I'm glad they didn't do that.
You can get away with it in a book a bit more because you don't have to see it.
To an extent, yeah. It still sounds like shock value to me.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But I'm glad they changed it for the vision. Yeah. For at least, if I have to watch that, it's more uncomfortable than just reading it. At least to me, anyway.
Maybe it depends. Like, there's an argument that your imagination filling it in is almost.
No, that's true.
It's kind of like how horror, what you don't see makes it worse. Like if you let your imagination like fill it in. But obviously that's a good change in that sense.
It is. So I don't know if I want to read the book because I'm going. Can it be any more interesting? Does it play with ideas a bit deeper? Because
it could be. I mean, this could be really watered down compared to the book.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not hearing a lot of people tell me either way. Where usually it's this is better than the book, or the book's way better. I'm not really hearing those. I'm hearing okay, these are a couple of the differences, but I'm not hearing many. One's better than the other.
Which makes it sound like there's not a lot of people who are passionate about the book, which maybe suggests that it might be fine, it might not be anything special.
Must read, yeah. No, that's true.
Oh well. Okay, so disappointment is kind of the overall theme. It's not terrible, it's not the worst thing ever, but it's thoroughly mediocre, and unfortunately it never capitalizes on any of the cool ideas, and it has a lot of cool ideas, it just never does anything with them.
It does,
it has
and
a lot of characters.
Really wanted to love it.
Yeah, and it has a lot of characters who could be great and just don't quite get there. Yeah. So, unfortunately, that is season 1 of Altered Carbon, and like Connor just said, I wanted to love it. I went into this wanting to be gushing over it, and it never happened. So there you go. That's season 1 of Horror Carbon. So by all means, give us your thoughts in the comments. And apologies, this took a few days to get to the finale after episode 9. The weekend ended up getting quite busy, so we ended up not getting till today. But hey, here we are. So thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Like, subscribe, get us on the Patreon at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. There's a link in the description for that if you want to support the channel. But otherwise, that's us. So thanks very much once again, guys. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?